What is going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Lucid. I want to give you an overview of what's really been causing so much volatility, go over some of the current data points, as well as what shorts have been doing. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. Right now, Lucid is down 1.13%. Did come very, very close to a new 52-week and all-time low. So the low today so far is $2.56. All-time low is $2.54. So kind of scary stuff. There is a lot of fears that's happening in the EV sector as well as broader market. And I think yesterday was a very big joke coming from the Feds. They can't really decide on what they are going to be doing and whether there's going to be no rate cuts, or if there is, like, Powell just needs to kind of get in line because he is the chair, right? Like, he should be, it's his voice, but he just has to, like, the market needs so much reassurance. It is very, very flawed. But aside from that, 9.4 million shares have been traded within the first about 2 hours of the trading day. 29.3 is the average. There hasn't been all that many transactions above $100,000 today. I wanted to bring this up. Yesterday, there was quite a few. And so this was done after hours, kind of signaling that there was maybe an overreaction due to yesterday's sell-off. So 8.03 million, several $1 million transactions. So pretty good stuff based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. Majority of those were buys, or actually all those were buys. So that's kind of a good thing. Unfortunately, I didn't really do a Lucid video yesterday. I did pop over to Toronto for a concert, but I did take advantage and stopped in at the studio there. Spoke with some guy named Abdul. I don't know if I can actually say his name or anything like that, but very, very knowledgeable guy. Kind of picked his brain, and yeah, again, I think that's one thing that Lucid has done very, very well, is trained their advisors to be like very knowledgeable. Like, he knew every finite detail of the Lucid coefficient, like everything, without even like looking it up. So hats off to Abdul. Unfortunately though, they didn't really let me do a test drive and film and stuff like that. Versus the Vancouver studio, they have obviously offered to have me test drive and whatever and film it, but supposedly, I guess maybe things have changed. I'm not really sure. Maybe Toronto is more by the book. Again, I was kind of denied by Lucid corporate, so I kind of does suck. But beside the point, still very beautiful vehicle and all the other fun jazz. As of today, there has been no news specific to Lucid, no SEC filing, so it has just been at the mercy of the broader market. But over the last couple of days, there has been a lot of things coming out specific to the EV sector that hasn't necessarily been the best. So one of which is this. So Ford delays some North American electric SUVs. And this, I believe, is also just piggybacking from 2 quarters ago, or within the last quarter, of them cutting, I believe, their trucks. So it's just not a good sector. And Ford and GM have all cited that it is just too costly to be in the EV sector. And so, of course, 2024, not necessarily just the EV sector, but 2024, companies are trying to cut costs and mitigate risk. So by OEMs trying to get into the EV sector, it's just not really worth it to them. So the big OEMs kind of taking a step back, in my opinion, is kind of something to worry about. Even Abdul did say that obviously Lucid is in a very significant cash burn phase. And so for the foreseeable future, up until they're profitable, whether it be 2026, late 2026, maybe 2027, I don't want to say later than 2027, but it is going to continue to burn a lot of cash up until that point. So once again, you kind of just have to realize that big OEMs are thinking bigger picture. They don't want to spend all this money, and they also don't have the PIF or affiliates behind them to back them. So in reality, I see this as somewhat of a red flag, but I think Lucid is very well suited with the PIF. Like I said, one thing that just came out has not been confirmed yet, but it looks like Tesla might be scrapping its plan for a low-cost EV, and that's per Reuters. And in reality, I do see some validity to this, only because of what's happening in China, North America, about the price kind of war that's happening, and just so much competition. Tesla doesn't have what it takes right now, at least based on the margins, to have a lower price vehicle. Lucid already was self-aware, and they just said, you know what, we are not going to be pursuing this, at least for the foreseeable future. Same with ESS. Lucid was trying to do their part in mitigating risk and cutting expenses. So I think as far as a low cost EV, we might not see it for possibly this decade. We'll just have to wait and see ultimately, but this has not been confirmed. But once again, it does go to show exactly how difficult the EV sector is. But moving on, going over some data points right now, 155,000 shares is being increased. 29.67% of the free float is being shorted, but actually it looks like it just updated to now they are returning 93,000 shares. So that probably is what is giving it this nice bump up right here. But like I said, 29.65% of the free float being shorted. Utilization is at 100%, and cost to borrow average is somewhat in line with yesterday, so 31.05%. Looking at options, $148,000 in calls being purchased versus 1.13 million in puts. Sentiment wise though, 90% of all the options being done today are optimistic, and it does look like a very good consensus for it to be above maybe 3 to 350 in the next couple weeks. So this is very abnormal. So someone knows something behind the scenes. So it might be something to keep in mind. But like I said, institutions aren't really getting into Lucid through physical common stock. Rather, it looks like they're getting in through options. Dark pool though, I'll give you a quick overview of that. This exchange still isn't even that popular today. Still a lot more than the secondary market, but beside the point, a lot of shorts typically use this dark pool just to kind of hide some shares and whatever else. I'll give you a quick overview of this. So as of late, a lot of people really do like the Elliott Wave technicals, and it does have a pivot point of $2.55. So you'll really want to watch for that to hold, because if that does break, then this is where it is anticipated to get to roughly the low twos. But as long as Lucid does hold this 255, this is where the technicals are assumed that it is going to have a nice bounce up from here and tread to maybe the mid threes. Let me know your thoughts on that. As of late, there hasn't been any recent analyst rating. No doubtably, once Lucid does unveil their numbers, which should be maybe in the next 2 weeks, obviously I've already pointed out, it could be historically maybe the 13th. But ultimately, it could be anytime Lucid does unveil it. And plus, also on a side note, there is no actual rules that they have to disclose their numbers. They could just go back to early 2022 and not do anything. So again, just something to kind of consider. So once Lucid does unveil their numbers though, if they do, then you will see a lot of analyst attention on Lucid. And obviously dependent on the numbers, you'll see either upgrades, downgrades, or whatever floats their boat. Quickly going over here though, looking at this, with it at $2.63, it is trading between this S2 and this S1. So $2.60 is a very strong support. And so far it did bounce off of that. So I think that's kind of a good thing. And since it also bouncing off of that, shorts are finding it justified to return some shares, but $2.74 is that next strong resistance. And over this last little bit, this week, hasn't really been oriented towards upside. So it's been more selling that's been happening to Lucid and just in a lot of other growth stocks. But on the actual chart itself, you do see it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Looking here, you do see a bearish deviation, so red line above the white, but it is at 16, so that is considered very oversold. A number of retail investors have been getting in for a while now, with the exception of today. Looks like they are selling maybe just for profits. Actually, they wouldn't really be at profits. Maybe just last minute fears associated to news, or possibly they just are tired of Lucid, will re-enter possibly at a lower price. I'm not really sure. Let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What is your thoughts on Lucid? As well, what do you think on some of the recent news about OEMs and Tesla and what that has for an effect on the EV market? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moonwoo, throw $100 at it, and they do give you 7 fractional shares of the Mag 7. Amazing deal. Total value around $35. So that's a pretty good return on investment for just throwing $100 at a new account. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.